welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonia. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, then you know what we're about to get ourselves into today. So if you are new, then I'm going to link in the description box below part 1 of my narcissistic marriage, because I'm not really going to do much of any backtracking or anything like that. We're just going to jump right into it because I still have a lot more to talk about. From where I left off with my last with the story from last time was, so I found out my husband was having an affair, and the girl contacted me and she was sending me screenshots, and I kind of snapped on him, right? Okay. So a lot more stuff still happened. I ended up leaving the apartment that night because I didn't want to be around him. And I had a trial, as I mentioned before, that it was like the night before the trial was supposed to start. And this trial ended up lasting 2 days. And again, this was a trial that it was, I had a very abusive relationship with somebody, and I did a YouTube video on that. So again, if you're new, I really highly recommend you even go back farther than part 1 of this storyline and you go watch Ivan. That relationship was horrid, and I've talked about it. We were going to trial for Ivan, and I was very emotional. I had to relive a lot of stuff that he put me through. It wasn't my story to tell. It's why I don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. For one, it involves my son, and my son's only 11 right now. He has no idea what's going on, and he didn't know what was going on, and I have to tell him when he turns 18. So this is not a story that I want to make public, because I want to tell my son in private, not for YouTube to know. So that's why I'm not talking about it. And also, it's not my story to tell. I was there in support of other people involved in the trial, but I had to talk about what I went through with him because I had to shed light on the kind of character that he was. And he was an abusive person. I had to talk about our relationship and etc. etc. The night before the trial, like I said, I ended up leaving my apartment after I found out my husband was having an affair. I went to a friend's house and I stayed there. Now, while I was there, I called his crazy baby mama. Crazy baby mama and I had beef the whole time while I was with him. Up until this point, it had been like 2.5 years that we've been together. So the whole time, me and her had a lot of beef. And I was just frustrated. And that night, I don't know what it was. I think it's just because I knew that I was just fed up with everything that I had to put up with my husband. I was taking care of his daughter. And even while the trial was going on, I told you, he was not there for me at all. He gave no fucks, honestly, about how I felt or what I was going through. And I had been there for him the whole time. So it was around summertime all this happened, and his daughter was there for the summer and she had nowhere to stay. So I had to get my aunt on my side of the family to take care of her because he wasn't prepared. And so I called baby mama that night and I told her, look, this is a situation and we're about to get divorced. I'm done. I'm over it. I told her everything that happened. She got a good laugh out of it. Good for her. I told her, but you need to come get your daughter. Like, I am no longer going to be taking care of any of his stuff. I have my own shit that I'm doing. He obviously doesn't give a fuck. He's having an affair. Like, come get your kid, because he's not going to take care of her. So she was like, okay, I will go pick her up tomorrow from your aunt's house. And I said, good. But while we were on the phone, we squashed all the beef. She heard all the things I was going through. I vented with her, and she was actually, you know what, I feel for you. She's like, I really do. She's like, whatever the fuck happened, whatever was going on between us, we're gonna just leave it alone from this point on. She's like, because you obviously have been going through a lot. She's like, I feel for you. She's like, and I'm gonna give you the respect that you deserve because you have been helping with my daughter. She's like, my daughter talks more about you when she comes home than she does her own father. And I really appreciated that, because that's all I really wanted from her. Was I just wanted her to see what I do for her daughter. Like, we ended up washing, you know, everything under the bridge, water under the bridge. We moved forward from there, and we had a great relationship after that. Not great, but I'll say cordial. We had a cordial, respectful relationship, and that's all I wanted from her. So she planned to pick up the little girl after the next day. So the next day, I go to trial. Now, again, the trial only lasted 2 days, but at the time, we didn't know how long. We get to the trial. I'm very emotional throughout the whole thing, but I'm trying to be strong. I'm trying to be there for, like I said, the people involved. And I had to see Ivan after all this time. That night, after the first day, I went to stay with my parents. I did not want to go home and look at Esteban. He was, like I said, wasn't even there for me. He didn't even care that I was going through this trial. He knew what was going on, and he knew everything about Ivan and the things that I've been through. And so for him to just not even be like, hey, are you okay today? Like, you know, do you need me to hold your hand? Even though he was doing the things he was doing, like, at least give me some kind of support, right? I didn't get none of that. And I didn't want to go home to even look at him. I was gonna face him and take care of the whole affair once the trial was over. I needed to concentrate on the trial. I needed to concentrate on being strong and being within the moment and taking care of Ivan first before I moved on to Esteban. So I stayed with my mom that night. I got a good night's rest. I got peace. And then the next day, the trial still continued. Baby mama contacted me early in the morning and said, hey, I'm going to go pick up the little girl, and I'm taking her. And I said, okay, that's fine. We agreed that we were not going to tell Esteban. Esteban hadn't even texted to see where his daughter was at. That's how shitty of a father he was. He didn't even say, hey, where's my daughter? Like, he automatically assumed that I was taking care of her, because I always did. He didn't even call to be like, is she okay? Like, how's everything going? None of that. I got nothing. Day 2 of the trial, it ended. We got a conviction the same day. Again, we were not expecting to. And Ivan got put away for 65 years. So I felt justice for myself and for the people involved, because we had been through a lot. And even though I had already healed from everything, even though I had already moved on as a person in my life, it was great in my heart to feel justification. Even though he didn't technically go to jail, to prison for what he put me through, I still felt great justification for me, and like I said, the other parties that he hurt. And we decided to celebrate. Everything was great. My sister was like, hey, we're gonna go, I'm gonna have a party at one of my friend's house. Do you wanna come by? It's a pool party. We're gonna get drunk. We're gonna celebrate. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to go home. I don't want to see him right now. I'll deal with him tomorrow. I'm still wanting to absorb everything that happened today. And so I went and I met her at her friend's house. I wasn't planning anything. I really wasn't. But I will, and I have said this before, I'm a very vengeful person. I have been through hell and back in my life. And I sometimes will let things get the best of me, and then my dignity leaves and I become vengeful and ruthless and ugly. And I'm an opportunist as well. I look for opportunity when things come to me, and things always have a way of coming to me. So I just wait, and that's karma. That's definitely karma. So I really wasn't planning to like do anything to Esteban. I was just knowing that I was going to go home and I was going to have to face him, and we were going to have to figure out what we were going to do. I knew I wanted a divorce already off the top. And I went to my sister's friend's house. Now, my sister's friends, I've been knowing them for years. And she had a friend, we're gonna codename him Connor. Connor had just got divorced, or he was going through his divorce. So we kind of felt each other when it came to like, you know, what we were going through, even though mine was very, very fresh. And he happened to be at the party. Now, side note, Connor also had the biggest crush on me for years. He had been trying to get with me since he was 14 years old. That's how long it's been. And I wasn't planning anything. I showed up to the party, her friends are there, and that guy Connor's there. And, you know, we're just talking and we're just having a great time. We're drinking, and the girl that that Esteban was having an affair with, she decides within that moment while I'm at this party to send me a video. For whatever reason, she still wanted to send like this video and pictures. So apparently my great amazing husband was sending her pictures of his dick. Yeah. And sending videos of himself masturbating in our bed, in my home, while I'm at work. And I'm just thinking, like, why are you sending me these pictures and these videos? Like, immediately I got upset all over again. Immediately I was just, the rage was just coming back. And I turned to Connor and I looked at him and I said, take me home. You've been after me for years. Let's do it. Why not? My husband's having fun. Why can't I? I know it sounds really crazy, right? It gets crazier. So I go home with Connor that night. And we have sex. Several times. All night. Wake up the next morning. I stayed the night. We had morning sex. I went home. I got up, I got dressed, and I left. And I went home. Now, again, I didn't plan it. The girl's video and pictures kind of sent me into a spiral of, okay, two can play this game. Two can play this game. When I got home, on my drive home, all I could think of is, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him. I want him to know what it feels like to be a shitty person. Like, you want to play this game again? Like, I already told you, I'm not the one. What I failed to mention, though, is the second day before I went to the party, I actually had went home and I had grabbed all of the things that I had bought his stepdaughter and I loaded it in the back of my SUV. I had so much shit that I had to lay down the seat. That's how much stuff I had, and it filled up to the roof of my car. I met up with Crazy Baby Mama at the mall in the parking lot in Mesquite, and I gave her all of that stuff. You know why? Because I bought that stuff. Everything except a tablet came from me. Everything. He didn't never buy his daughter not one thing. I took all her clothes, all her toys, everything. Even her toothbrush. And Crazy Baby Mama was like, damn, that's a lot of stuff. I told her to bring a truck, and she did. She was like, wow, you really did have a lot of stuff. I'm like, yeah, and this all came from me. And I'll be damned if he's going to go into his next relationship and tell that girl that he bought all this shit for his daughter. No, I bought it. It's hers. So since me and him are not going to be together no more, here, take her stuff. When I got home the next day, he still hadn't asked about his daughter. He still, again, was just acting like nothing happened. I walked in alone, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell him he's the fuck out. I'm going to tell him where I've been. I get there, and he's all happy to see me. Again, like nothing fucking happened. Like, I'm like, what? Dude, you're crazy. You need some medicine. You need to go to the doctor or something. And I'm just looking at him like, what the fuck? And he's just like, oh, I'm so glad you're home. I've missed you, da da da. He's all trying to like kiss me and hold my hand. And then I see the opportunity. Again, I'm an opportunist. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I do regret this part. I do. I don't regret sleeping with Connor. I don't regret that part. But I do regret this part. Because when I say my dignity flew the fuck out the window, it was gone. I slept with my husband, you guys. I slept with him on purpose. On purpose. Hadn't even taken a shower from the night before. Still had Connor juices all over me. I did it on purpose. When we were done, he stands up and he's all happy and stuff. And he's like, so where are the kids? And I'm like, you asked about them now, okay. I was like, well, I dropped your daughter off with crazy baby mama. And he was like, what? Now I'm still sitting in bed, butt naked. And I have the covers, up or whatever. And I'm staring at him. I want to see every expression on his face when I drop these bombs. And he's standing there naked in front of our bed. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, I contacted crazy baby mama. We hashed things out. We're cool. I was like, she has your daughter. And he was like, well, where's all her stuff? I noticed all her stuff was gone. I was like, oh, all that stuff I bought? Yeah, she has that too. And he was like, why? And I said, because I'm not taking care of her anymore. And you haven't even asked where I've been. Don't you want to know where I've been? Don't you want to know about the trial? Like, do you want to know anything? You haven't asked me any of those things. And he's still just standing there like confused. And he's like, okay, so what happened at the trial? I was like, oh, we won. And my sister's friend, they decided to have a get together, and I was over there. I was swimming. I said, and yeah, remember Connor? Because he's met Connor before. He's my sister's friend. I was like, so do you remember him? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he was there. And I went home with him, and we had sex. When I say the look on his face was priceless, that's an understatement. I said, oh yeah. And I fucked him this morning too before I came over here. And I haven't even taken a shower. I had been driven to be this way and I hated it, but at the same time, sometimes that part of me kind of helps me out when I need it. He starts screaming and hollering and grabbing his shit and called his brother to come pick him up. And I'm just sitting there just laughing, and I'm just like getting up to get dressed. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. Talk all this shit you want. Because he's just like, oh, you're a fucking slut. You're a whore. You're fucking nasty. And I'm just like, okay. So you can fuck around, but I can't fuck around? Okay. His brother comes and he leaves. Now, within that moment, I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to keep this apartment? I don't really want this apartment. I wanted a house. In my heart, I was supposed to get a house, and we ended up having to leave our townhome to move into this other apartment because the house that we were going to get didn't fall through, or it fell through. And so I was just like, I really, really want a house. So for the last time in my life, I call my parents and I'm like, look, I got to come home. I don't want to be in this apartment. I can't afford this apartment by myself. It was a ridiculous amount a month. And I really wanted to give my kids a house. And I left. I ended up moving back in with my parents for the final time in my life. Final, I promise. I lived with my parents for a few months. Now, I went right away. I mean right away. Within that next week, I went straight to the courthouse and filed for divorce. I had never filed for divorce before, but we had no children, we had no property, so I really didn't feel like I needed to get a lawyer and pay for it because there was nothing to really fight for. So yeah, I went down to the courthouse, I filed for the divorce, and it was a process. Like, it's hard to get divorced. It really is, especially if you're doing it yourself. Like, there are steps you have to take. You have to file for the divorce, and then you have to wait so many days, and then he has to answer, and so he has to give an answer, and then he has to take that back, and then you have to wait for them to give you a court date, but they don't call you and tell you. You have to call. It was a process, and having to do it myself was a pain in my ass. So I went and filed. They gave me because I was like, okay, does he have to come up here? And they're like, no. As long as he signs the paperwork and he gives an answer agreeing to the divorce, then you can come up here and bring it back if you need to. And I already knew he wasn't going to do it. Like, he just wanted to make things more complicated. And I had to contact him and be like, hey, I filed for divorce. I need you to give me this. I need you to fill this paperwork out and give the answer. You don't even have to take it to the courthouse. I'll take it. But we can be divorced within 60 days if you file this fucking paperwork. Dude, he was not. He did not want to cooperate. He wanted to make everything hard. He's like, no, you're the one who wants a divorce. You figure it out. I'm like, I can't get a divorce if you don't give me an answer. Like, just file the damn paper. Like, fill it out. I'll fill it out. Just sign it. And he was just being an ass. I didn't want to talk to him. I really didn't, but I really needed him to do this. If not, that what was going to happen is they were going to have to serve him, but I didn't have an address for him because I didn't know where he went. He said he went to his brother's, but he also had a sister, and I didn't know where she was at exactly. I knew she was in Euless somewhere. I didn't have time to be chasing him around. I could have served him at work, but they don't just let anybody in. And it was going to be a pain in the ass. And the lady was like, if you can't find him and you don't have an address for him, we're going to have to put something out in a paper. I'm like, y'all still do that? If you've been divorced and you've had to do it yourself, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So I was trying to just contact him and just be like, hey, I need you to do this for me. I had to practically beg this guy, beg him. And he was, again, like, he had this whole attitude like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it. You're just going to have to deal with it. So while that's going on, I'm saving my money. I'm at my parents' for a few months. And then I said, okay, it's time. I got a house, you guys, all by myself. My life was going great. But what I wasn't prepared for was nobody told me that there's a such thing as mourning for your marriage. I mourned for my marriage. I was upset with him and I couldn't stand him, and it wasn't him that I was missing. It was my marriage in general. I wasn't expecting to grieve over it. I was upset because I felt like I was already categorized and a statistic for the world anyway. I was a single mom. I had been through a domestic violence relationship. I mean, I already had all these things against me. I waited so long in my life to get married. The last thing I wanted to also be categorized in was a divorcee. Now, months had already gone by. I had not seen Esteban or spoken to him anymore. I sent him certified mail the answer, and I didn't hear anything back. I knew he still hadn't filed the paperwork because when I called the courthouse, they said they still didn't have his answer. And it was pissing me off. I was still kind of, sort of, not really, but in contact with Crazy Baby Mama, because she was telling me like that the little girl was still asking for me. She would cry for me. And of course she did. I was there for her a lot. So I wasn't surprised when a weekend came and I finally heard from Esteban. And he was telling me that he had his daughter for the weekend and that she was asking to see me. And he's like, apparently she's been having a hard time and it's breaking his heart. And so I did agree to meet him at a park and to see her. Again, it wasn't really to see him. It was for the little girl. But at the same time, I thought maybe I could hit two birds with one stone because I still needed him to give an answer and I knew he hadn't. So when I met up with him, this is where I made a mistake. This was my mistake. I meet up with him. I meet the little girl. I'm talking to the little girl. You know, she's happy to see me. I'm conversating with her. And I ask him about the answer. I'm like, while we're here, and I have you here, what are we going to do? How am I going to get this paperwork filed? You need to give the answer so we can get our divorce date, our court date to get divorced. He says, I don't want to get divorced, Sonia. He's like, I know in your heart you don't want to get divorced. He said, I know how you feel about the whole marriage thing. He said, let's go to marriage counseling. Now, I know what he was doing. I had asked to go to marriage counseling. I had. Before all the affair stuff came out, when we were going through our financial debt and all this other stuff was going on and the fighting, I'm the one who told him I wanted to go to marriage counseling, and he thought it was stupid. So now when he's bringing it up, I'm like, now you want to go? After you had an affair, now you want to go? I didn't do anything wrong. All that shit that was going on, that was you. And he's like, I know. He's like, but I don't want to get divorced either. That's why I haven't filed an answer. He's like, I see how my daughter's reacting. The little girl was taking it hard. She was. Because even crazy baby mom had told me, so I knew it was true. And he's like, let's just try it for a few months. And if it doesn't work, then I will agree to the divorce. I really honestly, I thought, okay, that actually sounded reasonable. I talked to my sister and my mom about it because I was like, is this what marriage is? I know marriage is hard. I get that it's going to be hard. I get that you're not always going to agree on everything. I get that some days you're going to hate each other and you're going to want to just rip your hair out, and it's going to be emotional and you're going to have ups and downs, but how much shit does a bitch have to take? I don't know. I vented with a lot of people. I opened up about my marriage to a lot of people, actually. I wanted advice. And some of them said to do the marriage counseling, and some of them said no. I had to think about what I wanted. Did I really want to save my marriage? Did I really value it that much where I wanted to give it a shot? I did. So I agreed. Now, he had moved in to the house for a little while, but then eventually I told him he needed to leave because I needed to see if the counseling was going to work first. I needed to see if everything was going to be good because I didn't want to introduce him back into the household and then things were a mess again. So I told him, I really just think you need to stay away. So he moved in with his sister. And so we didn't live together. We did counseling for, I want to say 5 or 6 months. We did it for a while. I would say of all the things that I regret, this is probably the one and only thing that I don't regret. I'm actually really glad that we did the whole marriage counseling because I learned a lot about me, not just about our marriage, but about myself individually. She talked to us about each other. I mean, we got deep. We talked about how we were raised and our family's lives, and I told her about Ivan and the things that I went through, and she really gave me a lot of great advice. She taught me and gave me exercises to do for myself. And it really helped me. Like, it genuinely really, really helped me. And I was really happy going to counseling. I also learned about the 5 love languages. I don't know if y'all know anything about that, but I even went and got the book. This is called the 5 love languages, the secrets to love that lasts. I actually bought this off Amazon, and it's legit, guys. It's like a legit thing. It's not even for a marriage, honestly. It's for you individually to figure out what kind of person you are, and you can apply it to any relationship. You can apply it to your children's, your parenting relationship to your children. You can apply it to your relationship with your your parents, your siblings. I really took a lot from it. I learned a lot about myself from going to the marriage counseling and from the book. Now, the counseling was supposed to make our marriage stronger, and in the beginning it did. She gave us exercises to do. So she would tell us, to spend quality time with each other and to, exercise these exercises that she gave us. And so we would. And for a while, I was pretty happy. I was like, okay, this is working. And I could see that Esteban was putting in effort. And everything was going good for a while. Well, after a few months, things started to kind of slow down. And he started pushing to move back into the house. We talked about it in counseling, and I said, okay, because he started to act funny. And I brought it up while we were there once, and I told, the counselor, I'm like, I'm nervous because something's going on and I don't know what it is. And because he was starting not to put in that much effort anymore, and it was a struggle, we were starting to fight again. And all the things that he was doing, he wasn't doing it anymore. And so his excuse was that he's upset because he wants to move back into the house. He wants to be living with me, working on our marriage together. So we made an agreement. I said, okay, you can move back into the house. He started to act funny. He started arguing with me again. It was like all over again, all the shit that I had gone through. And in my gut, I knew something was going on. But I still wanted to fight and continue to move forward with my marriage. So I was fighting against myself. But it was starting to show with me. I started to resent him. I started to hate him. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't even want to look at him. I started to be really verbally abusive myself towards him because I felt like something was going on and I couldn't figure out what it was. Every year my family goes on vacation, once a year. And everybody goes, my sister, her husband, my parents, my brother, and me and my kids. And this year we had decided to go to Denver, Colorado. And we drove there. Well, I drove there, my sister flew. So we go as a big family and we have a great time. I loved it. Colorado is probably one of my favorite places I've been so far. I've been to a few different states and it is the nicest state I've been to. I would actually leave Texas to go live in Colorado. So we had a great time. We were there for like 5 days. We had an Airbnb and everything was great. Nothing really suspicious about the vacation. Family vacation was great. We get back, and when we get back that day, 5 days later, it was like maybe 7 or 8 o'clock when we got back, and it was late. I was tired. Kids were tired. I wanted to make something to eat for the kids, take a shower, unpack, and go to bed. I mean, I was beat. The drive to Denver is like 12 hours. So yeah, we've been in the car for a long time, half a day, dude. We get back and right away, Esteban's like, I need to go. His sister had been pet sitting for us. She had my cat and my dog. So he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go get the cat and the dog. That made me really suspicious. I'm not gonna lie. It caused me to get into an argument with him because I'm like, you don't even care about our cat and dog. You never even help me with them. It's late. Why can't you just wait till tomorrow to get the cat and dog? Why do you have to go now? She lived all the way in Euless. It's not close to us. I'm like, no, you need to go to the store, get some stuff for me to cook for the kids. The kids are tired. I'm tired. We still need to unpack. Like, you have other obligations. You tell her that you'll come and get the pets in the morning. But he was so like adamant about wanting to go get the cat and dog. I was just like, no, you're going to go to the store. So he was just like, okay, fine. He leaves and I start to unpack our stuff. So I'm in the room, I'm unpacking stuff. And he had left his Apple Watch. Now, we had a stand on our nightstand that was like a charging port because I have an Apple Watch. And so we normally put our Apple Watches on these charging ports. Well, his Apple Watch started going off. Like, it was dinging. And I'm like, okay, people are probably trying to get in touch with him because they knew he just got back from family vacation. I really didn't even think nothing of it. I started unpacking. And I'm like, here, let me put the watch on the charger, so that way I can start charging. So I'm putting my watch on there. I'm putting his watch on there. Well, when I put it on there, because even though I can hear the dings, because it dings when you get a text message, it goes ding, like that. So they were like going off, right? but I couldn't, like, the messages were not coming up or anything. But when I put the Apple Watches on the charger, both of them light up, just like your phone lights up when you put it on a charger. So both of them light up. And the first fucking thing I see on his Apple Watch is a kissy emoji face. I touch it. I open the watch. I open the messages. And I see him sending a kiss emoji face, this other person sending a kiss emoji face. This person asked him, did you have a great time with your family? Did you have a great vacation? So I open the messages and I start reading all of them. And I figure it's a girl. It's under the letter D. And I'm like, okay, this has to be a girl. And apparently they're like sending each other messages like, oh, I miss you. Oh, you look so hot today. So I figured out from the messages, it was a girl he worked with. Side note, what I forgot to mention was that he had quit the job at my stepdad's warehouse because he couldn't hack it because he said it was too hard. He was making good money there, but he said it was too hard. I told you, he's a complacent person. He doesn't want to work too hard. Like, anyway, he started working at this place called Enterprise. It's a car rental place, so that's where he was working. And he had been there for a few months. So, I was reading the messages. I pulled her number and I called her from my phone. I called her and she answers. Now, right before I call her though, I look out my window because I knew he had to be close by because his Apple Watch is connected to his phone by Bluetooth. He doesn't pay for it separately like you can, but he doesn't. So I knew he had to be close by. He was sitting in our driveway texting her. So I call her from my phone and she answers. And I tell her straight up, I'm like, look, I know you're texting my husband. And I know that you know that he's married because I saw you mention his wife in one of these messages. I said, so I need to know what's going on. You need to tell me. Now, at first, she didn't want to say shit. She was scared. And I said, well, I also know you work together. So either you can tell me over the phone or I can go up to the job and you can tell me in person. And yeah, I really don't think you want that. I said, so I need to know what the fuck is going on. I need you to tell me now. The girl was 19 years old, dude. My oldest daughter at the time was 18. Do you know how disgusted I felt? Do you know how disgusting that feels to me? You're a grown-ass man. And you're fucking with a 19-year-old? You're not having a midlife crisis. You're not a sugar daddy. It's not like you can take care of her. I was disgusted. I was like, what the hell? She's in college, still lives with her parents. This little girl sat on my phone and cried. Told me that she was in love with my husband. Told me that he flirted with her and he came on to her and he'd been doing, wooing her the whole time since he started working there. She's like, and I knew he was married and I knew it was wrong. She's like, but I just couldn't help myself. I told you, he was a charmer, he was a talker, and he was really good looking. Baby, I hope you're ready for him to come and his daughter, because he's about to get the fuck out of my house tonight. She's like, no, I live with my parents, he can't come over here. I said, well, he's not staying here. I wasn't hurt, I wasn't angry. I actually laughed. I'm like, I was actually thankful. I was thankful because a woman will leave you mentally before they leave you physically. And I had already mentally left him. I was fed up with him. I was tired. I didn't love him anymore. There was nothing there to hold me. I was actually very thankful to find something out because now I could finally officially let it go. So I grabbed his suitcase that was still packed, thank God. Went to the room, grabbed the little girl, and grabbed her suitcase, and she's like, where are we going? And I'm like, you're leaving. I know it sounds shitty, but he was gonna get out of my house. I walked outside. I put her in the car. He was sitting in the car, still texting her. And I grabbed the Apple Watch off the stand. And so when I went out to the car, he rolled down the window. He's like, what are you doing? And I just threw the Apple Watch in the car. And I was like, while you're out here texting your little girlfriend, I called her and I just got off the phone with her. And I opened the back door, and the little girl is crying. She doesn't know what's going on, but I was gentle about it. I'm like, get in the car. And I told him, she's like, why do I have to leave? And I said, ask your daddy. Ask your daddy why you have to leave. And I told him, I said, you're leaving tonight. You're leaving tonight. Not tomorrow, not the next day, tonight. I said, go to your little girlfriend's house. I don't care what you have to do. You're getting out of my house. And I turned around, and he's like, oh, I didn't want to hear no bullshit. I didn't want to hear no lies. I didn't want to hear it. I walked back into the house and closed the door and finished doing what I was doing and went to bed. I got my divorce. It was finalized January of 2020. It took a while. When I think about it, it's humoring to me. I don't even get hurt over it. I'm not even mad about it. Because the only thing I can say is it is irritating to talk about, just because I'm about to be 37 in 2 weeks. At this time in my life, I don't need my time wasted. And I know to this day he still hasn't changed, because he still tries to get in contact with me to this day. And I won't talk to him. Because narcissistic people need that from you. They pull that emotion from you. They need to feel like, I don't know, like they're validated in some way in your life. And when I don't want to talk to him, he'll message me. Like, I've blocked him off everything, every social media, every other type of communication app. Like, I've blocked him off everything. I blocked every number. He's changed his number like so many times. I block all those numbers. I literally have nothing to say to this person at this point. And he would still find a way to contact me. And he's like, and what he does is he'll be like, hey, how's it going? I want to talk to you. How are you? And either I won't respond, or the last time I did respond, I'm like, I have nothing to say to you. We don't need to talk. And he's like, oh, you're still bitter. You're still angry bitch. And da-da-da. And I'm just like, and he's like laughing about it. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're still bitter over this. And you're bitter, you're going to grow up to be a bitter old bitch over this. And I'm just like, no, dude, like, I really have moved on. That shows you how little you know. But that's his narcissism. That's his narcissistic mind. That's how he is. And he's so toxic. So I definitely do stay away from him. I really don't want to talk to him, or have a desire to talk to him, or have a need to talk to him. I know that not everybody is like Esteban, and I try not to punish the people, after him, because I like I said in the beginning, I saw right away what type of person he was. Why did I tolerate it? Again, I think I felt like he was the best I was going to be able to find. I felt damaged. My relationship with Ivan really, really, really fucked with me mentally, and I still don't feel normal to this day. I can talk about it. I'm healed. But there are days where I'm still very insecure as a person. I'm still and it's not because I'm a jealous type of person. It's more like I'm insecure about, like, even right now, I have a fiance and I still question, like, does he really love me? Is this real? I don't want this person to hurt me. Like, it's still a mental thing. And that's why I concentrate a lot on taking care of myself. You know, I concentrate on making sure that my mental health is in the best condition that it can be, because I don't want the people around me to suffer for them, because they're not all the same. And after Ivan, I just knew that I didn't want somebody like Ivan. And him and Esteban were totally different, but they also had very similar traits, because Ivan was a narcissist as well. So when I had Esteban, all I could think of, well, maybe this is the best I can do. And Esteban had potential. He was intelligent and he had potential. He just didn't want to do nothing with it. He just cared about his good looks and girls. And to me, it's sad. I actually feel bad for him, because I'm like, one day you're going to realize that shit doesn't matter. Like, you got to have morals and values and shit like that. You got to have ambition. And so I settled. I settled for somebody that I knew I really, really didn't want. But what I felt like is all I could get. But all he did was make things worse, because he played on my mental state because of what I've been through. And he used that to do his dirty stuff. So, yeah, my trust issues are fucking out of this world. They're very non-existent. That's the story of my narcissistic marriage. And you know, I really hope, the whole point of my videos is for this to come to reach somebody out there. To reach somebody out there who's going through these things. Because I know at the time when I've been going through these things, I felt very alone. You know, I was more open with my marriage to Esteban than my relationship to Ivan. Because I knew after Ivan that I wasn't alone. So I was very open when it came to my relationship with Esteban. And I talked about it more. Like, even with my family, like, I came to them. I never went to them and talked to them about Ivan and things I was going through. I didn't tell them anything until later on. With Esteban, I was very open about it. I wanted advice and an understanding of what was, you know, happening. And so they heard about everything that happened in my marriage. If you're going through something, you know, I really, again, I hope this video reaches the women out there that have gone through a domestic violence relationship or have gone through a narcissistic marriage. Like, you don't have to tolerate that shit. You don't. You deserve better than that. I deserved better than that. I deserved and I deserve better than that. And I would not tolerate that shit again. I am way more selective now about who I allow in my life because of the things. I refuse to settle. I refuse to be with somebody who doesn't deserve me and who's going to harm me in any way, financially, physically, mentally. I don't, because I've seen what I can do alone. I'm okay with being alone. And sometimes being alone is where you become stronger. I'm not promoting breakups or divorces, but if you're going through shit like this, no, you don't have to. I've opened up my Instagram to the public, and I've said it before. If anybody wants to contact me through there and message me, and a few people have, great. And I know this video is reaching people because, again, I've had a few people message me and we've talked about it, and I'm glad. I'm glad that my videos are helping you. I really wish I would have done this a long time ago, but I didn't. And I wish I would have seen videos myself a long time ago about this stuff, but I didn't. So my YouTube videos are for this purpose. If you need anything, even if it's just an ear to talk to, I'm more than welcome. You can reach me on my IG account, and I'm more than willing to talk to you. You can be a total stranger or somebody that I know. Everything will be confidential, I promise. And I will try to help you in the best way that I can. I'm not sending you no money, but I will try to help you the best way that I can. Until next time, you guys, thank you so much for sitting through this. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe and the little notification bell so you know when I drop my next video. Until then, don't forget to love yourself because you are all that you have. Thanks.
Hopefully we don't have no babies. I don't even wanna go back.